NES Remix 2 is the sequel to the hit game that came out last year, aptly named NES Remix. The idea is that you get to play remixed versions of classic NES games. The idea was fresh and fun at the time, and while the newness of that idea is now gone, with its almost carbon copy gameplay style, they have improved on quite a few things. First off, I think you should know there are less titles for you to unlock. However, if you factor in the extra game modes, it's about the same. Because of the similarity of the previous game, and the fact the original only came out a few months ago, it feels like this should be an add-on to the original game and not a whole new title. They really should have gone the route that they did with Super Mario Bros. U and Super Luigi U, and added to the game as DLC for the existing game. I say this because I wouldn't be surprised at all if the original game got bundled together and gets put together as one mega game that'll be available to buy at stores. There is enough gameplay between these two titles to justify a $30 price point, which would be just about what we pay for these games separately, give or take a few cents. I really think there should have been a discount for the people who bought the original NES Remix. Like, this game should have been like $5 off if you bought the original. But no, you had to pay full price, which kinda irritated me. These games are not remastered versions of old titles, but the actual titles themselves, which I liked. It kept the nostalgic feel alive. What I didn't like was the horrendous slowdown. It most likely has something to do with the game running at the same processing power that it did back in the day. However, as I've shown in my Play Choice 10 review, I own Super Mario Bros. 3. It never had any kind of slowdown as I saw in this game. And I really hope it'll be fixed in an update patch. Now, the games this time were branching out more towards the middle or end of the heyday of the NES's popularity. There is, like I mentioned, Super Mario Bros. 3, there's also Zelda 2, Punch-Out!, Dr. Mario, Super Mario Bros. 2, Kirby's Adventure, Super Mario Bros. 2 Lost Levels, there certainly are a lot of Mario games, and a few others. There was one game in particular I truly hated, and that was Wario Woods. Mainly because I have no idea how to play it. They tried to explain it to me, but it was just so confusing and not fun at all. This is the one game in this collection that I feel like it's out of place from the rest of them. Wario Woods truly sucked. Now, the game will challenge you to finish objectives in a time limit, or within a certain number of lives. These usually involve playing games in the most simple ways, like dodging a punch or collecting an item. Just like in the previous game, you get 5 games unlocked from the start. And the more stars you get from the challenges, the more games or remixes you get. I did like that this time the amount of stars needed to unlock your first game is half the amount of the original title, which would be only 50 stars, and that's really easy to get. Now, like I mentioned, there are remixes of games, where they'll take the basic games that you've been doing challenges on and tweak them. Maybe they'll turn it into a runner, or make everything dark, or maybe we'll see what happens if they put Kirby into a Super Mario Bros. Level. The remixes were always fun to play because you never knew the clever ways they would change the levels around. Now, the challenges this time around were creative at times, but sometimes they felt like the creators were just getting lazy. For example, Kirby's first objective that you had to do wasn't to swallow a few guys or speed run through a level, it's to watch the demo of the game. And it wasn't short. It had to be 2 minutes or 2 hours by how long it felt. It was so boring. What kind of a challenge is it to watch a demo to see if you can actually get through it? If you're going to do that, you might as well tell the player to go grab some coffee or read some mail. Because we're going to take 2 minutes to show you something that took us time to make. But no one's ever watched it in the original game, so they're like, "F you guys, you're going to watch it now." Now, I remember complaining that I wish the previous title would have games for you to unlock when you beat the game's modes. And while it's not in this version either, at least they gave you a full game that's unlocked from the start. And that would be NES Remix's version of Super Mario Bros., which would be Super Luigi Bros. Luigi is the star, and he has his normal high jumping ability, and the whole game scrolls from right to left instead of the opposite. I had no problems playing the game that way, and I kind of enjoyed it. The only thing I found odd was that if you played 2 players, it's Luigi again as second player instead of Mario. That would have seemed like the go-to thing to put Mario as a second brother. But I guess Luigi is an identical twin in this universe, which I'm going to name Luigi 2. There's also the Nintendo Championship mode, which gives you 3 games to play with 3 objectives, and you have to do them as quickly as possible. If you enjoy replaying to get the best times, then you will enjoy this. For me, it was fun once, and it wasn't something I would go back to. Just like in the previous game, you can earn stamps which can be used for Miiverse posts, which is always cool. Plus, it's a fun little thing they have Luigi show up occasionally. Did it add to anything? No. But it was still cool to see him pop up occasionally in random games, because you never knew when it was going to happen. NES Remix 2 was much more difficult than the original game. I don't know if it was the games that made it harder, or if it was the fact the creators thought the first game was too easy, and they ramped up the difficulty on the challenges you had to complete. With the exception of the Watch the Demo challenge, of course, which there is more than one. If you like the first game, you'll enjoy this one. My only concern is the price should have been lowered for the people who already bought the original game. But I do think this one was better than the original game, because I think the quality of the games is better, with the exception of Wario Woods. This one did a good job of unlocking the games to the player quicker, and giving us more of a challenge. So I do think this game is worth the buy.